Whatever's on the window first, ask questions later. There's more noises. I'm kind of scared. I'm just a girl in a Spider-Man shirt. I don't think I'm. I don't know. Okay, I think I almost broke my leg on the string. Well, I'm having to look at your GitHub profile, Remy. It's fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Peter. I spent a long time on it too. I also have gifts for my projects on my portfolio also. Where's my portfolio? So you said, Evanism said you've installed the GTI commands on most of your computers. This is a program that displays a badly made ASCII art animation to punish you for typing error. Wait, I love that. Why do I love that? Look at the little thing. I don't think the old one works though, does it? No, it does. Why did it not pop it up whenever I did that? Because it works. There we go. I didn't even make any like facial expression. I just straight up erased it. Okay. I'm gonna count that as a break. A very long break. Okay. We're gonna I did literally. Yeah, the whole Pomodoro session, my brain was doing something else. Ooh, okay. Can I just scroll that? Yes, I can. Okay, that's fine. Okay, no, I don't want the break though. I want to restart the timer to start promising. Okay. And I think we had one more task to do here. We did delay with a promise, which was this one here. So it basically used the last code, but we just get rid of the first call of resolve because I know it'll only let me call resolve once. Resolve or error. No. Resolve or reject. It'll only let me call them once. So if I had resolve 1 here, it would never get to the set timeout because it would return and exit. So to do the delay one, we basically use this code here. We wanted to return the new promise, but we had to get rid of where it said resolve 1 and just have set timeout here of resolve 1, and then milliseconds is whatever they were passing in here. Okay, we did that one. Now we want to do the next one, the animated circle with promise. You had microtasks up that whole time, and I finally started reading about them. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't read. It like brought it up to look up, and I didn't do that at all. Why am I resolving 1? Peter asked. Because I don't know. The code before it used that. Do I not need to resolve 1? Alright, let me go back to CodePen because that'll actually work. I just kept the 1 because the code before it was using the 1. I did not know what I needed to put in resolve. Or if I needed to put anything in resolve. Okay, so I don't, right? Yeah, I
Okay, good evening. Okay, I'm always behind the chat box. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, so late night stream today. Also, let me know, chat, if I am being too loud. Something happened when I like updated. Um, I'm still in Windows 10, and something happened when I updated, and it looked like it like dropped my mic sensitivity down, and I'm not sure why it did that. So I was like looking at OBS, and I was like, why am I in green? I'm like never in green. Um, but yeah, if it's too loud, let me know. If the music is too loud, also let me know. Yeah, I am here to hopefully entertain y'all when it's late, I guess. Um, but yeah, today, gonna do some pretty simple stuff because, frankly, I need to. I keep saying this. I need to figure out a schedule. For like when I stream and stuff. And usually Tuesday is like no good. Um, because I usually play games with my friend. And that can end like pretty late in the night. So it's probably better if I plan to not stream on Tuesday, and then sometimes I just do because I'm stupid. um, but then like that also means that if I stream Monday, if I don't fix all my like note taking and stuff, then I completely like lose track of things. So I have a bunch of tabs and stuff open for stream notes from Monday, and I never finished blogging. Um, so yeah, um, today we're going to try to catch up on some stuff, or at least I'm going to try to catch up on stuff. I'm going to try to treat this as something like a co-working stream, even though it's like freaking 11:36. Um, yeah, so I'm just going to try to get some stuff done and kind of demonstrate the stuff I'm trying to do. I tried to work on this earlier today and just kind of discovered a bunch of stuff that was maybe a little frustrating. So today, I don't know, I was talking to my friend. And I was just like, yeah, today was really weird. I was like really busy and also like shockingly unproductive. Um, and this is coming from someone who like is like not working currently because my new job starts in 2 weeks. So I just have had time off, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Um, I have all the time in the day to do whatever I want, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels a lot. And yeah, um, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to treat chat like therapy for a second there. um, but yeah, let me see. For co-working stuff, let's go over to the screen, and then I can demonstrate the stuff that I've been working on. Actually, before I do that, so typically, I feel like I see this a lot. Actually, not a lot, but more frequently than I expect. Of like, what are your best tools to try to get work done when you're a coder, or a data scientist, or whatever? And if you have any things that you particularly like, feel free to send them along in chat. Actually, maybe I'll add this to today's stream notes, which I will. Let me go to the other screen and I'll show you. So we are logged in on my WordPress site. So this is my site is buenosds.dev. So we're logged in there. Basically, what I've got right here is the stream notes from Monday, and basically all the tabs in the right window, which you can't even see all of them because some are hiding behind the camera. Those are the ones that I left open from Monday session. That they're basically all just things that we talked about. But what I tried to do earlier today was I realized that there's going to be like a general form to these like stream notes blog posts that I wanted to do, and I was trying to make a template to just make my life easier because like I know I'd always want the date. I'd always want like it's just stream notes, and I want like certain categories. So like it's gonna be code stream notes, and like keep that hierarchy. So like I would have really liked for this kind of stuff, and also like we'll add a block, so separator, and then add. I made a reusable block that just has my socials. This is all in WordPress. WordPress is great because it's like you don't have to code anything technically. You can just like make all these things. However, it is like very, very finicky. And it seems to depend also on like what theme you pick. So this theme is called, I think, Neve. Yeah, Neve. And I was looking up ways like, I just want to make a template or series of templates so that I can like, next time I want to make like a CodeStream blog post. I just want to start one that's like kind of blank, and then add in the things that are relevant as I'm working through. And I started like Googling like, hey, how do I make a template page in WordPress? And it was kind of shocking to me. Like, I can't do that here. Basically, a lot of posts said like, well, you should be able to just go to your post itself, and then in this like post settings, you should see the ability to make a template. And then I looked it up. The developers of this Neve theme, for the free version, do not allow you to do that. So if you pay them, that does actually allow you to make different template posts or template styles, and then you can just reuse them. But that costs money. It actually costs I'm a child. It costs $69 a year, which I told one of my friends today, like, that is nice and also not nice at all. But it was just like kind of frustrating that it's like, oh, it's just like it's hard coded to exclude that because it's like built in technically to WordPress. It's just that I'm using a theme that I like because it's like simple and minimal, and just tries to reduce the amount of stuff it has to load. And it just like, it doesn't have that available. Their FAQ says like you can custom upload some stuff to override the script, like the actual, not script, you can override the actual structure. But I was just like, that looks like more work. And like, I think the way to do it is you need to make like an FTP, install an FTP client on your local computer, and then like log into your WordPress, which I was just like, I don't have time to do that right now. This looks like I have to read some more documentation, and like I was already late for the gym. So yeah. Yeah, also I was mentioning Tuesday is like not a good day for me to stream. Wednesday possibly also not good for me because like usually I go to the gym and then I try to join my friends for Pokemon Go raid hour. Yeah, it is, I guess, kind of funny that I'm somewhat addicted to Pokemon Go and then I'm going to work for Niantic. So like after raid hour, depending on how long we kind of like stay around and chat, and like I might not get home until like 7:30 or 8, and then I have to eat and possibly cook dinner. Usually it's just like reheating food, and like by the time I'm done, it's like, oh, it's like maybe sometimes 8:39. Today delayed because I was also baking some bread, which can I show that here? Hold on a second. Let's try to let's try to find that picture. I wonder if it already is on here. Pictures from my phone. So camera roll. And then we scroll all the way down to today's date is 2022-05-18. Wow, I take a lot of pictures. Yeah, here we go. This is what I baked earlier. So it was kind of a long time in the making. Actually, this is sourdough loaf. And I was using my cast iron Dutch oven. And it is actually the first time I have used this Dutch oven. I got it a few weeks ago and then almost immediately went on that like road trip and couldn't use it. So I've been excited to try to use this. So finally got to. Kind of fucked up yesterday because I was actually like feeding the starter and stuff yesterday, and then I looked at the final step and it was like, okay, now that you've done this, let it rest for 2.5 hours and then bake it. And I was like, are you serious? It's 10 o'clock. I don't know. This is my fault. I've made this before, the King Arthur baking sourdough bread, but like a bunch of stuff happened yesterday where it's just like, wow, I didn't really do a bunch of this stuff on time. And like, I think one of the things that you need to do, yeah, I remember now. The recipe asks for active starter. So like, I had to take mine out of the fridge, feed it, and then try to get it to the point where it's actually usable, which meant that like I fed it in the morning and then it wasn't ready till like after work. Because it hadn't expanded and stuff yet. So yeah, this was like it definitely is overproofed. If you're a baker, you're probably gonna get mad that I like let it sit or rise or whatever for like essentially 2 days, but I don't care. I'm looking forward to cutting into this. Unfortunately, I think people said online like, oh yeah, sourdough you want to let it rest for like 2 days or rest for a day, at least to the point where it is like room temperature bread. I was like, cool. My place smells delicious and I can't eat any of it. Yeah, I've definitely cut into bread when it like wasn't done and it was like I should have waited. So this time I'm gonna try to do it right. Try to be patient. Yeah, so today I was trying to make these like a template from this and it's just like not working. So I tried to go to the gym and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, here we are starting a stream at like 11:30. But it's all okay. So last stream, what we actually talked about, we did more keyboard talk. So actually, let me start another post, and this will be today's notes. And the first thing that we're doing today is obviously talking about making templates and stuff here, which is like not really data science, but also like, well, we are talking about it on stream. So 2022.05.18 stream notes. Oops, stream nights. Can I just copy this? Hey, how about that? Okay, so need to change this link and add a note here. Oh, also, so part of why I'm working right now is I saw Leah is streaming her typical late night Code War stream, and that got me inspired to like at least co-work alongside her. So here I am. She's probably going to be up later than I will be, but I feel inspired. So I'll just give her a shout out. And let me see. I have some other Twitch people on right now. I had Uwu Monsta on, but Uwu Mon is, I think, collabing today, and I feel like her collabs get a little too crazy for me, so I just like had to stop watching. Yeah, she's still in her collab. Yeah, so yeah, seems like everyone's having a blast, but that's maybe not for me. Let me see, who else should I shout out? Maytian is really cool. So let's, if you want to see a VTuber, so we'll shout out Maytian. But yeah, so it is kind of cool to like, I don't know, I feel like I'm working next to these people even though we're streaming all at the same time. So yeah, today's stream, so what did we talk about? One, let's make a list. And let's make it numbered. So went over making templates, or trying to, in, actually let's put this back on. WordPress. Learned that my theme doesn't allow template creation on the free tier. So that's unfortunate. And hold on a second. I think my one negative thing to co-working to streams is that sometimes the streams are loud, and then it's very easy to get distracted, and you hear so many voices in your heads. So yeah, let's save this draft, and we'll save this draft. Okay, so this is today's notes. So what we talked about last time. Let's make this another list and make it numbered. So, oh yeah. Okay, open question. Before I forgot. Before I forget. Open question is, what are your favorite tools to help with working through a coding problem? And that's relevant here. And before I forget again, why don't we actually talk about my thing? So normally, I actually keep like, actually just keep like a small notepad here. I also have like a regular, like 8.5 by 11 notepad for like more complicated stuff. Honestly, both of these were like free. Like I think this was given to me by someone, and I just found it in our like pile of junk that just keeps moving around from place to place whenever we move. And I was like, well, actually, it's kind of nice. It's not a full-size thing, so it's easier to bring around. And it's got that like legal pad-ish style thing where you technically could just write on one sheet and then toss it. But like I always try to, like, when I'm done with the first page, I like flip it over and write on it again, or just tear it off and I just flip it over manually. I like this because, frankly, I can probably write faster than I can type. And if I'm typing, I need to figure out like where I'm going to store this stuff. So now, like, I can type on these like stream notes and stuff. But before, it was a little bit more helpful to like quickly jot stuff down. Yeah, especially like some of the stuff on here is actually notes on chat. So I hope it doesn't come across as creepy, but like whenever people talk about things in chat, and I think it's cool, I try to keep notes and like, ask about that stuff later. So like when people say that they're trying to learn things by themselves, or they're working on particular projects, I try to keep notes and just like follow up like, hey, it's been a while since we heard about this. Like, how's it going? Not to do pressure, like, or shame chat into people in chat to like get work done, but like, we're all on our own personal journeys of growth and development. So like if we can either keep each other accountable, or maybe we actually learn stuff and we just never tell anyone, like I want to hear that stuff. I want to hear what y'all are up to. Yeah. Let me see. So yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so that's my favorite thing is basically just pen and paper. It's quicker, and I need to go back to the desktop display instead of just me because I can see myself talking. Quicker to jot stuff down versus typing it out. Especially if you're still not fully used to your fancy ass split mechanical keyboard, and you're just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna keep making typos. Or honestly, if mine's still having some battery problems, so sometimes it just like isn't working like how it should. Okay, so last stream, oh yeah, last stream I remember, there's a bunch of like random stuff happened. Okay, so brief talk about keyboards again. I don't even think it was this in this order, and maybe it's better that like I actually keep active notes now because like I can actually remember stuff, or take a running log. So my keyboard is a reduced Ergodox made by Falba Tech. And you can find that information there. And then firmware for the keyboard here. And the firmware is relevant because I think, as I've shown, this is not like a full keyboard, so function keys get mapped to different like combinations of modifiers. So like I don't remember what those keys are anymore. And technically,
God, where's my? Oh, hold on.
I keep forgetting that.
I'll
Oh,
be right back.
I keep forgetting this. This key right here, this like slightly gray key, uh, for some reason I can't figure out. That defaults to control, but also backslash. And I think the thing that decides which one it is basically how long you press the button down. So if you hold it for longer than like, I don't know, like a tenth of a second, it becomes control. If you just tap it, it's like a backslash. But I can't reliably repeat that interaction, and like it's a major problem when like control is the default key for jump, I believe, in Halo. So whenever I play and I forget the mappings and stuff, like I can't sorry, not jump, crouch. I can't crouch or slide. So it's like a little annoying, and then I'm like, okay, when I try to remap the key, it will either be control or it will be backslash, and I can't like get the timing and stuff down. So I'm still trying to actually like redo my keyboard, because these instructions help you like figure out what your mapping is. If you've got QMK firmware, it turns out it's like really easy. Like it gives you like a literal map that you can change the commands and stuff for. Yeah, so because I still have some lingering issues with my keyboard, this reduced ergodox, I have been looking into these Iris keyboards, and found these from what's it called? I think I found these from chat, actually. Yeah, thanks, chat. I think it was it Space Warfare? It could have been. See, I should have written this down. It was definitely someone in chat here. It may have been crap. That's gonna bother me for a little bit. But I'm sure. Yeah, I said your name and I was like, something isn't right. I don't think Space mentioned this to me. Also, how are you doing, Space? Man, I'm gonna go real crazy trying to figure out who actually told me. Okay. Okay. Coding Life is going interestingly. I keep talking about the template file, and I keep not actually using it. So my hope was that I can do this like co-working thing today, where I basically am able to publish like all these stream notes that were supposed to be published 2 days ago, and then also keep a running log of what we're doing today, and maybe start doing some exploratory data analysis with Melion. So that is the hope, but also like I need to start not going to bed at like 2 or 3 a.m. So that is the real goal today, is to have like a fun short co-working stream where we just kind of like do a little bit of stuff, and then hopefully that's like a base hit, and then we're ready to get another batter at the plate. Or I don't know whatever sports analogy people want. I don't even like baseball. I'm not even sure why that was my default. Yeah. Okay. So last time we also talked about stats models for library, for Python, and kind of how it still actually has like a really horrible series of documentation. Yeah, and I think it kind of touches on Space. You mentioned before that like Jupyter's documentation is bad, and it's like it still kind of is. The stats models documentation is still frankly awful, because like you can't, how they don't even explicitly talk about each variable or method that you can call with some of these functions and stuff. So you're just like, oh, you read the you read the documentation. It's like, oh, I didn't know I could call that function. I only found out about it because there's in somebody else's like tutorial example. So yeah, stats models library for Python, which we can link here. Whoops. And say like, however, convert this to a bullet. The documentation is poor, is not poor, is hard to follow for someone reading just the code calls, since not every function or method is fully specified in those specific method docs. Usually have to use a mix of tutorials, some not even from stats models, with documentation to figure out how to do things. Which you could argue is like pretty common, but I don't think that that's entirely correct. Like the scikit-learn library, when you look up, and pandas, for example, when you look up like actual function calls and like pandas like data frame stuff, like it's pretty thorough. Like you can at least like find links and stuff mostly to figure out like if it's nested, you can just keep following the crumbs and get to wherever you're trying to get to. But stats models actually doesn't even have that. You created your own detailed for new coders installation procedures for Jupyter on Windows and successfully installed it. Oh, hey, that's awesome. You're going to present your class project draft tomorrow using Jupyter Notebook and PowerPoint. That's super cool. Yeah, congrats, Space. Let us know how it went, because I'm very curious now. And oh my gosh, sorry, I just saw my sound went into the red. I hope I'm not too loud. Yeah, I'm really excited for you. If you, I guess, semi-pro tip, if you wrote your own documentation and you published it openly, you can try to figure out how to push that as a issue on Jupyter's GitHub page, and then see if they would accept your proposal. Awesome, nominal. If they accept your proposal and they write it into their new documentation, that means you contributed to open source, so you can put that in your resume and stuff. And like, I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. It's like, oh, I contributed stuff to help out the Jupyter project. Like that's like, I don't know, I think that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Let me see. Last time also commented, the reason why we had stats models open, on how we commented on how R as a language, since it was intended to be a statistics package software, is just much better at doing statistics. Stats models introduced a formula. Oh, hey, Democracy Smith. Welcome. Thank you for first time chatting. You contributed to PyTorch, but only in the util package. You feel they get let down when they find out. So you feel when they get let down. Do you mind if I ask who is they? Because I guess were the library maintainers let down when like someone else contributed to the package, or when people start asking like, oh, what did you do for this library or open source package or something? Because like I believe PyTorch is a major Facebook thing, and I definitely have thrown them under the bus for, I think I even have the tab open still. I've definitely thrown them under the bus for what's it called? Profit, because their Python documentation for Profit was terrible. Now it's okay. Um, Employees, they assume you worked on hardcore stuff. I mean, that's or core hard stuff. Like, I don't know. I think it depends on what position and stuff you're applying to, right? Like, if they were upset that you did not like optimize the underlying C code. Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you, Space. Thank you for the bits. Yeah, get some sleep. You're very lucky. I should actually probably consider doing that. But yeah, good night, Space. See you tomorrow. Yeah. What was it? If those employees are like telling, or if they're expecting you to like rewrite the optimization for like a pandas library. So like I've never used PyTorch. I've looked at the documentation and been like, I should really just switch. Like if I do deep learning stuff, I should switch over to PyTorch, because everyone seems to love it. In my data science bootcamp, I was doing a neural net. I was doing a deep net with TensorFlow, and it was like super difficult. It was very annoying to deal with because they had like just kind of started doing TensorFlow 2.0. So a bunch of the stuff that I was looking at from previous like work done for I was trying to like basically I took an existing thing, forked it for a deep net classification. I forked it and then tried to use it again for my recipe recommender, and it was referencing a bunch of like TensorFlow man, what was it called? TensorFlow.lib or something? Contrib.lib packages from like TensorFlow 1.4 and also 1.6. And if you look at the docs for TensorFlow 2, anything that contrib substack or whatever, that was not carried over into 2.0 because those were not core TensorFlow functions. They were just like added by people, and they weren't always consistent with like what TensorFlow wanted to do, et cetera, et cetera. So it was just easier to just be like, those break, those don't work in TensorFlow 2. And the problem was like that meant you had to use the old way of like calling transformers and stuff, and calculations with TensorFlow 1, like 1.4 and 1.6, in order to keep using those old functions. But it was like, what is the point? Like 2 came out, support for 1.4 and 1.6 is basically dead. So if you want to like have a new project, then you really shouldn't be using 1.4 and 1.6. Like just because like you're using functions that like were not even made by the core TensorFlow team, and there's like no guarantee that that stuff's going to be supported. Like whatever research lab came up with some function inside the contrib.lib like 6 years ago, are you sure that they're going to keep working on it? So yeah, like I think all that aside, was like I was talking about all this to my coaches at Flatiron, and one of them was like, you know what the first problem with your approach was you didn't import PyTorch. So like and one of my friends like was a contributor to PyTorch. I think he still is. And he definitely was like, I mean, I'm biased because like he contributed like significantly to PyTorch. I forgot exactly on what, but like he has papers on it. And he was like, I'm biased, but also like that was 100% your problem and you should have been using PyTorch. So yeah, like I think it's cool that you even just contributed, because like it is a thing that definitely people like and has ardent fans and is useful. So I think if you're applying for like machine learning engineer, like a senior position, and you worked on like something that maybe wasn't, how would I say this? If you're working on something that was like if you're applying to a position that's like extremely mathy and relies on fixing backend code, and your contributions to the library were not related to that, then I would kind of understand that like, oh, we were hoping that your contributions were more like optimizing large tensor calculations or something like that. But if you're applying for like, frankly, even like data scientist positions, because like those can be somewhat junior. If you're applying to like more junior positions, and it's like, oh, I helped write either like documentation that like explains a function, like I think that's fair to put on your resume or talk about. And if someone's just like, why didn't you work on something more advanced? It's like, well, I don't know. Was it your job? Like, it's kind of a tricky question, right? Like, and also like a thing of like, what are you're balancing people's expectations of like what work they're expecting you to do, even though it's like, oh, I just did this. I don't know. I went to a when I came back from the data science boot camp, I was trying to find like Python communities like where that were up in Seattle, and it's weird. I'm in the SF Bay Area, and I couldn't really find anything quite like the one that in Puget Sound, um, and when I went to, like, somebody claimed that they were an expert on making computer vision neural nets, and was like grilling the presenters at this talk I went to, and we kind of like pivoted a little bit and started asking this guy who kept basically pointing out how smart he was, like, oh, what did you do? Like, what would you do here? What have you done in the past? And it was like very obvious after like 30 seconds. It was like, you cloned a Git repo to your computer and then ran it according to the documentation. So it's kind of, and you tweaked like 4 hyperparameters out of curiosity. So to claim that you're an expert on computer vision is like a very loaded statement, because like you literally just took the same toy data and then just like messed with it a little bit. So like being nitpicky about a bunch of whatever the people are proposing is like, or presenting, is like kind of a dick move. And like, I don't know, like I'm sure he was there to like try to look for a job and network, but it was like, yeah, way to like burn every bridge before you even step foot on them. So yeah, this is actually kind of funny. Like, I was talking to my friend about like gatekeeping communities and stuff, and I generally am like, I really don't think it's a good idea to gatekeep. So like, I very much enjoy when uh what was I gonna say? I enjoy like helping people learn how to use a bunch of these tools, because like frankly, like all of everything that I've used for data science is a tool to help you get an interesting project done. That's the way I think about it. So if anything I do helps people learn, or encourages people to do something that they're interested in, then like I feel like that gives me the warm and fuzzies inside, and that's frankly all that matters to me. But like sometimes I've seen like quite a bit of gatekeeping, and I just don't understand it, because like I felt like when I was trying to learn Python, I was accidentally getting gate kept, because people were like, oh, it's just always been this hard and it should always be this hard. And I was like, that's stupid. We have other things to do than like figure out how to set up a freaking virtual environment. Or like, since I'm also a photographer, like there's a lot of gatekeeping around gear, and I'm like, this is always the stupidest freaking conversation, because like I seriously do not give a crap over what camera people are using unless like it was absolutely necessary to get the art or photo that they got. So like astrophotography quickly turns into like a whole gatekeeping thing of like, what do you mean you didn't spend this much money on lenses? And it's just like, I do not give a shit. Yeah, so like, I don't know, every time I'm just like, I just don't get it. Like, whatever helps you get the picture should be all you really care about. Canon Super. I actually, so it is like, actually I should take a note on, I'll add that to my stream notes. So on this like notepad where I have a bunch of stream notes, I have wrote down like the first people that gave me bits, the first sub, the first gift sub. Oh, Intelligence, hey, or Intellihens. I think it was you who told me about the Iris keyboard, actually. That may be wrong, too. I also did not get pictures of the eclipse. So for those of you who may have been under a rock or in the Earth's shadow, I don't know, there was a total lunar eclipse, and it was also in time with the, what's it called? It wasn't a blue moon, because blue moon is when there are 2 full moons in 1 month. It was like some harvest. No, harvest is August. I don't know. There's like some weird name for this one. And super flower, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, because it was a super moon because it was bigger than normal, and it was a flower because it was the spring blooms. And it's a blood moon because it was an eclipse. Is that right? If that's not right, correct me in chat. But I thought about going, finding some place to take pictures, and I realized that like it is not the first time I've taken pictures of a lunar eclipse, and almost every time I'm just like really bored by it. Because like I don't have the super bright telephoto or telescopic lenses. I don't feel like editing the whole stack of them, and when getting like isolated pictures of the moon, without looking at the date and stuff that the pictures were taken, it's turns out like really hard to figure out what moon it is. And I actually have pictures from like, I want to say 2012, of when I drove to a mountaintop in Massachusetts, and I got pictures of a blood moon eclipse, like a super blood moon, including when it was rising over the horizon. And I mounted like my big camera with the big lens and a teleconverter, so when you reached even further, and it was like, okay, so how would you tell that super blood moon happened on that day versus the one that happened 2 days ago, right? So I did not go for those reasons, because I was like, well, I kind of have other stuff to do. Thank you, Democracy, for the follow. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so I hope that wasn't coming across as like disparaging. It was just more like, well, I have to balance the things I want to do with my life, and like turns out that night I think I wanted to watch hockey. And I was just like, yeah, I hope everyone has fun. Yeah. But I'm sure I saw pictures on Reddit and stuff, and it was like, oh yeah, I'm getting a little bit of the FOMO now. Where it's like, I didn't go out to take pictures, but it's fine. Intelligence, did you get pictures? And then Democracy, did you go get blood moon pictures? And then before I forget, so Stats Models introduced a formula API that basically just allows you to write R formulas, and they just work. So that is, let's see. Oh crap. Example here. Notably, the formula documentation is not quite as good. Yeah. Yeah, saw it and didn't take any pics. That's also totally fine. Sometimes, so I've said on streams before that part of the reason if it's your first time here, I am kind of rough and I didn't do like a proper introduction, but my name is Aaron, or Chrono, or Chrono Zero. Everyone calls me Chrono. And I'm a data scientist. I pivoted into data science in 2019 after getting a PhD in chemical engineering. And there's a whole story behind it. It's actually, I think it should be on my About Me on my blog or my website, which is buenosdias.dev. One of the things that I really like working on are projects related to natural language processing. And I mention it because like I like working on these projects because they help computers understand us, and also like help us understand each other via computers. And part of why I like them is because like I'm not always the best communicator. And if there's something that helps me understand people or helps other people understand me, then I'm a huge fan. So one of the things I kind of regretted, uh, and this is related to like me not being a very good communicator. In grad school, a bunch of my cohort and friends like knew I really liked photography, and I visited my friend in Portland, and he suggested one particular spot because of the view. And I brought out my camera gear because I was traveling anyway, and we went all the way up there and like got out of the car and like started looking around, and he was like, "Isn't it great?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually, this is a really nice view. It's beautiful. You could see like Portland lights and like you just and some mountains are in the background and stuff. It was very nice." Um, but I didn't take my camera out. I didn't unpack any of my stuff. In my head, the reason why was because the scene I knew looking at it would not photograph well because with the gear that I had, because we were in the middle of these like tall trees, so the shadows created but and like the silhouettes created by the trees would be very distracting in the picture in my opinion, because they essentially obstruct a bunch of the city view, and like the city lights were pretty but they're very in the distant, and there's a lot of like particulate matter in the air, so they were hazy. So taking out the camera for that, and also there are power lines. So like taking out the camera and getting those pictures, like I knew once I got them on the computer, I'd basically just delete all of them because I was like, okay, there's too much stuff going on that I cannot fix, because like you at this, and this happens a lot in my opinion. Like that particular viewpoint looked gorgeous to the human eye, but like once you've removed a lot of the kind of environment around that, being in the moment, like physically and literally in the moment, and just looking at like an extract via a picture of it, I was like, it's not gonna work. And plus, like that particular view, like nothing about it technically in a picture alone would have told me this is Portland. Hold on a second. Sorry. Oh, I should have poured myself water before stream. So I was like, okay, well, maybe locals would recognize this, but like I certainly don't. So to me, it's just like city lights from a hilltop, or mountaintop. Um, and all those thoughts ran in my head, and that was why I didn't take the camera and stuff out. And I didn't say any of that to my friend. And I realized after that, like, oh, I wonder if he was offended that like he went out of his way basically to like give me a tour on one of his favorite views in the city, and he expected me to take pictures, I think, and I just like totally didn't. And yeah, so like I have frankly like a lot of moments like that. So it's that's kind of why I'm like, oh yeah, try to be a better communicator. And maybe also partly why I'm on streaming now, so like I can better voice my thoughts and stuff. But yeah, so we put this formula API documentation or example in because I don't even think it's the documentation. I think it's just like, oh, we just used it. Oh, masters in NLPs. That's super cool. Are you working on an NLP project yourself? Because like I am interested. I am very intrigued now. PyTorch person, NLP. That sounds cool. Let's see. The other after that, last time we talked about possibility of making a Quarto template and or switching to Quarto. So if you don't know what Quarto is, you can check the link I'm going to put into chat. It's actually from the people who did our Markdown, and it's a way to, I think, I'm not really sure. For some reason, I thought it was like this is a competitor to Jupyter Notebooks, and one of the major advantages, like it could technically support multiple languages, so Python, R, and Julia, but that's basically a Jupyter Notebook. I thought like one of the things that's like special about it is you can make dynamic content. So I was like, oh, maybe that means you can do like interactive graphs and stuff. I'm not totally sure. I haven't tried it yet, but I do know that like even at my former employer, so Democracy, since I'm not sure if you knew this, but uh, my first job doing data science was actually for the federal government, the U.S. federal government. So I was working uh, one of the first 10 data science hires for Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Um, and one person in my cohort, towards the like last quarter that I was working there, was like, "Have any of you used Quarto?" Because like he had a side gig where they were using it, and this is like the hot thing that our people are talking about because it is replacing our Markdown. Um, so I looked at it and was like, "Oh, it'd be really cool to have a template for this too," because like it does look nice. And like maybe this can replace Jupyter, which I'm not always like Jupyter notebooks, which I'm not always the biggest fan of. So like it's kind of cool that it like you write this like code here and then it just spits out like nicely formatted graphs and all that kind of stuff. You're doing sentence simplification a few months ago. Now you're trying to focus on application forms. Oh, cool, cool. Um, do you have a GitHub or anything you can share? Because that would be really cool. um, the NLP stuff I've worked on for your friend showed you Streambook. Interesting. Uh, now I have to make a new window for today's chats. um, so I'll keep that on OBS screen so I know it's separated. Um, oh, cool. Python. Let's see. I'm definitely gonna check this out. The fact that like I see it's like powered by Streamlit or something. They also have a gallery of like all their projects and stuff, so that's pretty cool. Um, the NLP stuff I worked on, actually last time I shared it in chat, but like I can put it in here too, and then it will also go in the stream notes from last time. And then yeah, I should put like why Quarto. For work, I worked on Medicare sends inspectors out to investigate what's happening in the nursing homes and various other facilities. There's a form called the CMS Form 2567. These are forms created by or used by these inspectors, and there's like a specific way that they're supposed to input data, but basically each of these reports that they give to us is some sort of infraction that has happened at the nursing home. And like they code it with the particular tag that got violated. So the most common one right now is they're called the F tags. The most common one is a tag 880, which is related to infection control. So all this stuff is public. So you can all look this up if you want to yourself. You can even download this data yourself if you want to. It is a 2 gig CSV or collection of CSVs. And if you really want to, you can even clone and fork this repo. No, you can't. It's private because we didn't fully figure out the whole it is public data funded by public money, but not all this stuff works, and there's like definitely references to employees that like maybe the public doesn't need to know about. Because frankly, like I started towards the end, and I know this is like somewhat unprofessional, but like we needed to call people out who weren't doing their jobs, so I actually started writing in the repo like, we are waiting for these people, so like nothing can advance until these people kind of get their work done, and that's it. And like I just kind of was like, that's how it is, and that's how we're gonna say it. And if anyone has a problem with it, like I don't really care, because that is the actual truth. Yeah. So my work project was taking these 2567 forms. We stopped incorporating new data after May 2021 because like this data set actually updates monthly, but my collaborators, the subject matter experts, were not keeping pace with data updates. So to keep updating the data set and rerunning the models would have just was resulting in a bunch of confusion for them. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to break several features, including data version control and MLflow. I'm going to roll back data versions and go back to something that they've seen before and see if they can just catch up on the work that we asked them to do. Because like I was finding it was really easy to generate new models. Like I could do a dozen in a week because it takes so long to calculate. But like it's not helping anyone if it's like, hey, I know you just worked on this yesterday, but here's literally the same thing but different. So like do whatever you did yesterday, and also like I'm waiting. So like yeah, so that's really bad collaboration, and I didn't want to do that to my collaborators. So I was just like, we're trying to cut through this tech infrastructure and data usage journey together, because this is all new to CMS. So like let's try to work on this. I will use my tools, you'll use yours, and we're gonna like I'll have machete, you have, I don't know, an axe or something, and we'll cut our way through this forest. So yeah, these reports, there are something like 300,000 reports. Eventually, there were like 1.2 million types of tokens for the NLP stuff, and all we were trying to do was, frankly, like pretty basic, was generate a topic model or a grouping of topics using latent Dirichlet allocation. And the reason why we wanted to do that was because this data is technically classified by the, like, not classified as in private, but like classed like dog, cat, kangaroo. Like each of the F tags is technically a different class, but we actually weren't sure if they were the things that we should be working with. Cosient, thank you for the follow. Oh yes, actually, Cosient Democracy, and I thought there was someone else. How did you find me? I'm very curious. So this part of why we didn't trust those tags is that there's actually over 300 of them. There's almost 400. And when I found that out, I was like, hey, so like, if you gave me a list of 400 things to get at the grocery store and then told me I couldn't bring that list with me, I would have to memorize it, I will fail getting groceries. So I think 400 tags is way too many. So if we can use something that will do the, like, they can keep writing their free text reports because it's very important. Oh, cool. Software and game dev. Awesome. Yeah, hopefully you're okay with data science, because that's mostly my focus, and also I mostly work in Python. There are, from what I've seen, there are not many data scientists working or streaming. So there was one, Nick Wan Data Sci, but I think he's not streaming it. Yeah, he's not streaming anymore. So still trying to find the data science community here on Twitch, and maybe if there's enough of us, or if we're loud enough, we can convince Twitch to like give us our own category. But otherwise, like, I think it is really cool to see all the software and game dev people all working on stuff that like I wouldn't normally see. And like I actually kind of got into coding and stuff because like I'm a bit of a game nerd myself. So we can actually do it just me. So like, I don't know if you can see right up there, those are all my amiibo. So like, yeah, I'm super into games anyway. Actually funny, my job interview at Niantic, because I use the same setup, and people saw the figurines, and I think one person's like, oh, so you actually are into video games. I'm like, oh yeah. My like real moment of private pride was the speed run for Mega Man X. I'm pretty sure I can beat it, or I used to be able to beat it at my peak. But also like I never actually recorded me playing through it. So like I think at the time the speedrun record for Mega Man X for 100% completion, including full sub tanks. So like you spent extra time charging up your empty sub tanks. I thought it was like an hour and 20, and I'm pretty sure I beat that game in an hour and 15 minutes, including getting the Hadouken special power up. So yeah, that's my. But yeah, so I still love seeing all the software and game dev people, especially like I think Unity's super fucking cool. Sorry, also I swear. I know the stream is marked mature, but sometimes I try not to swear because like if kids watch, then I feel bad if I swear, and their parents are like, "What are you doing?" But yeah, like when it's late at night, I feel a little bit more. For me, late at night, I feel a little bit less restricted, and also like sometimes I just get excited and something flies out of my mouth. But yeah, like I think Unity's like extremely cool, especially since now people are trying to use it as like video rendering stuff. So if you've never seen if you've seen The Mandalorian, if you've never seen the behind the scenes footage of them using what they call the volume, a lot of their set is a mix of practical and digital effects using Unreal. So like it's super cool. The Industrial Light and Magic YouTube channel has stuff explaining how the volume works, and I think there's actually a special on Disney Plus, and it is amazing. Like I think like one of the key takeaway things is like they can shoot sunset light all day because of like how the volume is constructed. So like if you're into filmmaking, if you I mean think about that, right? Like sunset light, if you're into photography, is only like an hour. So like just having that ability to like keep trying to make the art that they want to make, I think is like super cool. But yeah, welcome anyway. I'm curious what projects and stuff you're working on too. I know Democracy was just saying that they're working on NLP stuff, and that was why I'm now in this showing this NLP project thing. But yeah, so initially this topic model, this latent Dirichlet allocation topic model, it just settled on like our collaborator said there's probably only 35 groupings, like only 35 topics. And I was like, okay, let's make it 40, and just in case like you think you've just forgot something. And 40 is like a nice even number. I would have gone for 50, but 50 I think was even pushing like my ability to store stuff. Like I have trouble remembering 50 different things, so I wouldn't hold it against someone else for not remembering 50 different things. Yeah, so this ended up like grouping all 300,000 reports into 40 different topics. Some of them lined up nicely with the F tags, and quite a few of them actually did not. And it was interesting to work on this project because when I worked for Medicare, basically all my projects were something that got talked about on Last Week Tonight. So it was actually kind of horrible. So like I ended up like working super hard and super late some days because it was just like, all right, well, maybe I can do something that like saves more people. It turns out that like wasn't entirely true, and that was just the wrong attitude to have towards work. Super unhealthy attitude to have towards work. You finished your final year project on semi-supervised. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Semi-supervised learning, very hot topic, I believe. So yeah, like on the side, I've been taking Coursera classes just because I kept paying for specializations and then not taking the classes like an idiot. So it's been cool to like actually go through these classes now. And like I think there is one on semi-supervised learning techniques. And I'm pretty sure in the Introduction to Statistical Learning textbook, they also talk about it there. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. If you have a Git repo or something, feel free to send it to me either. It may not work in chat. Actually, Democracy sent a link, so that's probably fine. But you can send it to me there in chat or in a Whisper if you're comfortable with it. And then also, if you're fine with it, I will put it in my stream notes so that it's like, oh, we actually talked about this. Yeah. But for a side project, I have this. This is Melion. This is the repo for it, at least. And what it does is it looks at currently, it looks at the ingredients in a bunch of recipes and then tries to suggest recipes based off ingredient similarity. Um,
Oh, so you're saying I would use these?
and they're just from different cuisines. So last time we actually found out that it is working again. Something happened at Heroku where it wasn't working. So let me see. Talked about Melion again.
They're like sand
And it
Wait, that's really
Heroku was actually working, which may not be happening currently because I still see the loading circle.
subscribe to begin listening very simply. Is it Angular only?
Let's see. So the repo, get repo, and the web app. It is working. Cool. Yeah. So I can do a demo of it for new people. So basically, what you do, and like I did this whole thing. It's a full stack web app. You put in a dish name that you like. So I keep going to Buffalo Wings, and then you put the cuisine it's from. You hit feed me. It calls the Edamame API and finds 10 different versions of whatever dish that you sent in. It generates a recipe vector from those 10 different versions, and then does cosine similarity to find the top 5 most similar in a database that was scraped. And like the database is, where exactly is it? I think it's deployed to Heroku, but like there is stuff on AWS. I think it's mostly the raw data, but like you can see it's like not fully working. Something's really off about the speed, and these pictures aren't working. So usually if each recipe has a picture, it should show, and like I don't really like how it's doing the similarity right now because it like doesn't look right at all. So like technically I think this picture should have popped up in here, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I wonder if my AWS account closed due to inactivity. But yeah, so like if you like the recipe, you can click through. In the dev version, which I talk about on the blogs that I've done for this, like you actually get to see the ingredient vectors, but it was like too much data, so I didn't include it in production, but it was very helpful for me. But yeah, so like I don't know. I really like food in addition to NLP stuff. So like this was something to help me basically make new food without buying a whole bunch of new stuff every time. So that was kind of why I made it. And I'm still trying to make it better because like always more recipes. And like ideally I would actually like to not use edamame. But I did this at my data science bootcamp with Flatiron. So like it was pretty cool. You basically have a sprint and a half to deliver your final capstone project, but that meant like cutting back on features and understanding like pros and cons and checks and balances or whatever thing you want to use, about like devoting more time to something versus just delivering a minimum viable product. So like highly recommend that's like working through that scenario. Other stuff, and maybe for democracy, like this is probably very obvious to you since you've done NLP stuff, but like if you want to, we talked about this last time, if you want to try NLP stuff, the most reliable, I guess is the word, I would say oldest as well, is Natural Language Toolkit. Oop, so many typos. Toolkit. However, actually, let's put this as NLP libraries. And we should actually fully spell this out first. Processing libraries. If you want to try NLP stuff, the most reliable / oldest is Natural Language Toolkit. Toolkit. I don't know if any of y'all are hockey fans also, but this is random. Did you see the Oilers Flames game? Because like I missed it, and then I just looked at the score, and my mouth dropped, or my jaw dropped. I was like, what happened? Let's see. In production, people seem to have switched to Spacey.
I can't think of any. I can't think of any. Give me a topic. Oh, okay.
Oh, Spacey.io.
But I definitely agree with your point.
Switch to this tab. Where did I have it open?
The pictures are exactly the same, so I agree with your point.
And I knew I had the capital in the wrong spot. Spacey.
Point out the fact that Julia was writing on
Which is actually the thing I use. Which I use.
they cannot be the same
Also,
because they cannot be from
Stanza.
There we go. There we go. I just did it. Where's my A plus? Where is my A plus?
Um,
Since the guys discussing directly if we're
and
discussion. Okay, that's awesome. Sure.
someone mentioned Snorkel, which they slightly changed their product. So they used to have,
Wait, what?
it became Snorkel.ai. Like if you go to the old site, it's like, oh, this is sunsetted for Snorkel.ai, which is more of like a pipe. So yeah, that stuff's pretty cool. And then we also talked about if you,
I think that's what you mean. Because I'm like, yes, you can subtract
oops,
zero, but you mean positive and negative?
um,
That guy knows correct.
oh, career resources.
I once got points
Career resources / prep. Career prep resources. There we go.
for not saying
And the
okay, that was
answer is go to I made a whole subpage on my site for this because I think we're doing like a demo of this website. Let me see.
JavaScript, and how do I like? It's just me showing my Yoshi.
Demo.
Why is zero?
Page demo. There we go. Go to
We just want to talk. Why is zero negative? We just
should show up as an internal link. Yeah.
And it's definitely the person who made JavaScript.
But talked about for stats,
Ryan Dahl.
free textbook here, and it's really good. And then on the page that I just put the link for, there's actually the authors of the textbook have a YouTube channel where they talk about that stuff. And I know I need to add this. Need to add levels. FYI, which is here. But like I used this when I was trying to figure out how much I should get paid at my new job, and also how much I should get paid in my living area right now. So you notice data scientist, greater SF Bay Area. I will tell you, as a government employee, I did not make anywhere near this amount of money. So it hurt knowing that like I wasn't fully doing the things I wanted to do for my career. And wasn't using a bunch of tech tools that I was interested in using. And also I was getting paid way less than the market rate for a data scientist. So I was like, I need to get out of government service and get into private industry. So there's going to be like these compensation levels. They are kind of like all over the place, but you can do filters for your region for different companies and different years of experience and stuff. Like obviously not all of these are going to be things that most people can get. This Facebook M2 level, like I don't even know what M2 is. I kind of assume it's like management related. Like they have 11 years work experience. So like them getting paid at 500,000 like over 500,000. Oh, you can't see it because it's in the stream box. But this Facebook M2 level got an offer for with 11 years experience. They're getting 545,000 total compensation. So 256K base, 225 in stock, and then 64K in bonus, which is a lot, right? But like 11 years work experience in tech at Meta, that is basically what gets you that salary. Probably more realistic for data scientists, especially if you're new, or even software engineers if you're new, like fresh grad or something. Like Gap, yeah, it's not top tier. Like, let's be completely honest, they're not really a tech company. They're still a style fashion company. But like that's pretty healthy pay, like 145K total, so 130 base and 15K bonus. No equity, that's kind of odd. Maybe stuff that can be negotiated. And like Walmart. So if you are, I don't know how many people know this, but Walmart, to try to compete with big tech, actually has a pretty substantial tech investment and research and development division. And they pay fairly competitively, and you can work in the Bay Area for Walmart. I think like they treat you better than the retail store employees because they kind of know that they have to. Otherwise, you will just go, once you're here in the Bay Area, like they're based in Sunnyvale. Once you're here in the Bay Area and you do decent work, like why the F would you stay at Walmart if you could go to like Google, like down the street? Yeah, so I think like all these things are pretty interesting, and they help you kind of understand where you really should be getting paid. Things I learned through this were like, oddly, New York like pays surprisingly less than the SF Bay Area, considering they're both like really high cost of living. But yeah, like totally helpful resource. I really recommend checking out. I'll just put the link in. Levelstat FYI. What does a graduate data scientist do mainly in a company? Honestly, that really depends on the company and the role that you're going for. Unfortunately, we data scientists are now basically grouped into the same group as like Doctor Strange level sorcery. So like I've been like our industry gets hyped up so much that like people just think that like we just get data and stuff happens. So my previous, when I was working at Medicare, people were like asking me to do NLP on like emails and stuff. And it was just like, oh, well, like how many emails do you have? And they're like, oh, we have like 30. And I was like, just read them. Like 30 emails doesn't even really matter how long they are. It is going to take me way longer to build something that is like a machine learning powered thing for 30 emails that like actually works and all that kind of stuff. Like just literally just read those emails. So like there's all kinds of asks for that kind of stuff. For data engineer, that's kind of more like software engineering, so more back-end stuff. And like data engineers, when they're more experienced, like really actually help data scientists get data and then like make either dashboards, visualizations, do statistics calculations on them, apply different models. But like what's unique about data engineering is usually you are still exposed to some of the stuff that like data scientists and machine learning people would do. So like data engineers, like I would suspect, would have to be more aware of things like machine learning operations and like making sure that like there's ways that people could say do a SQL query that like are still reliably imported and all that kind of stuff. I'm speaking more off the cuff now. I'm honestly not sure because like I think data engineering is a super hot. It's now becoming the new data science field. I think after 2014 or 2015, like it seems like data science like really got a little too saturated. So more back end focused data science stuff became called data engineering as a way to like reduce the number of people applying to the position. Let me see. Please build a dashboard. Why not just use Excel? Oh, data analysts. That is a complicated thing. So there are definitely times when people ask for a data scientist, and a data analyst is more than enough. So good data scientists like experienced data analysts are also a bit of a mix of like database administration and engineering, in my opinion. So like data analysts who like really know the ins and outs of whatever database that they're working with, I think also will eventually learn optimal ways to do queries so that they don't like hammer the cluster. Like you can read like Stack Overflow discussions or whatever the equivalent of Stack Overflow is of like what are the optimal ways to write your queries, and it's like, well, it depends on your data set, because like there are several ways that you can write a query to give you back the same answer. But if your data set is ginormous, one way to do it might actually cause the cluster to freeze, essentially, because it takes too long to execute. So I think in my opinion, data analysts who like really know everything about how the data is structured can much faster and more reliably obtain those data pulls than like a relatively new data scientist could. So I was starting to see, when I was looking, like some data analyst positions were asking for like 5 years experience, which is like, oh, that's really weird. Like usually the pipeline that people like going into data science are told were like, go get a data analyst position because it's all SQL pulls, kind of, and then like transition into a data scientist role. But like it kind of depends. Frankly, it's maybe complicated. And for ML and AI, I think those depend on if you do scientist or engineer. And I think if you're and if you're applying to those positions, I think those are generally considered to be more senior. So I think scientists, especially, from what I was seeing, was like, oh, those are the people expected to like contribute to like underlying code to various open source projects. But for the dashboard and why not just use Excel, that did come up at my previous employer, and was definitely a point of frustration for me. So yeah, there's we were not even using, it'd be one thing if like there's a version of Excel that is actually designed to do SQL pulls. And I only found out about this because like Microsoft has a class on how to use that version of Excel, and you can sign up for it on Coursera. But they also tell you that they're going to reference functions and stuff that you will not see in regular Excel. And the only way that you can see those functions and capabilities is if you buy that, like, I think it's like Power BI Excel or something. If you have a license to that, which I think is like several tens of thousands of dollars, you can actually, like, there's even a GUI for like looking at different SQL databases. Honestly, it's somewhat impressive. But like, I think it tries to compete with what's the big one? Tableau. The problem is that like what I was doing previously was like not at that level at all, and there was definitely a time when I had to tell some people like, hey, I will do this because you asked, but do you know how complicated this task actually is? And if I tell you that, does it help you figure out what the value of assigning this work is? Because I was told that they did not want to hear that. They just wanted me to do it. And I was like, okay. And then when I left, I was like, I'm not going to lie. There was definitely work I was given and was told was ultra important, and that only I could do it because I had a PhD. And I got it and was like, cool, I could have done this in high school. So yeah, and like, not to be arrogant about it, but it was like, this is extremely basic Excel. Yeah, so I did make some dashboards in Excel. I also built one in Amazon QuickSight, and I thought what was the other tech I used? And I made a bunch in Jupyter Notebooks, but like the people didn't use those. Yeah, so yeah. All right, so talked about levels, and then Jon Snow Labs, if you're using Spark, if using Spark. Checkout, which I also use this, and Spark is super cool. It is way fast. I talked about it on the last stream, but like that NLP project I was working on for work, scikit-learn would crash because it would run out of memory. So I threw it into Spark and just did like a fake distributed cluster on my local laptop, and basically told Spark, like, this laptop, it was a MacBook Pro, this laptop has 6 cores, just pretend all 6 are different workers and then get me this, like, work on this as fast as you can. And it successfully distributed the work, and it went from taking like a week to taking about 8 hours. So it was super cool. And like, that was a victory that I could only celebrate with myself and like 2 other people, because no one else knew what I was talking about. But yeah, so if you are using Spark, then or want to give it a try, actually, like, not only was it taking too long, but scikit-learn actually hard crashed my laptop when I tried to run it. So that was why I had to find like a new solution, because the workaround I was doing was like, okay, for this step, I upload it to AWS, I give it a cluster that is like 120 gigs of memory, I do that calculation, but then like the Docker image that I used is too slow in running the next step. So I would export the joblib or the pickle from that to my laptop, run the next step on the laptop, actually the next few steps on the laptop, then export those results back up to the cluster. Our infrastructure sucked, but it was definitely a lot of learning experience. I learned that SageMaker API, if you're using Python to create containers and run containers, you actually get restricted on the number of cores you can use. But if you did like a Spark container, or use the Spark API, you can make something that's like actually truly distributed. And it was very strange. I talked to Amazon engineers about it, and I was like, why would you have this as a feature? Because like, I know it's good for you, because like I am requesting a 72 core machine with 128 gigs of RAM, and that's expensive per minute. And like, I am essentially paying you to allocate those resources, and I don't use even like 1% of its compute. So like, I know you're making a shit ton of money off of me, but also like, I hate it, right? Because like, it is dramatically affecting my work capability. And like, frankly, it makes me look like an idiot to people, because I'm just like, I don't know why it's not running faster. And I kind of proved to them that like, whatever you're doing is restricted to a single core with 2 threads. So like, we kind of want to fix it, and like, you don't have to fix it for me, because I'm sure it's more complicated. Just like, tell me a way to get around this, and I'll just refactor my code to work. Yeah, so it was very interesting. Let's see. The other stuff we talked about, if you're particular about code, I strongly recommend checking out like Google Style Sheets. Looking for advice on how to structure code. Let's see. I recommend using Google Sheets. Dungeoneer, thank you for the follow. Thank you. And feel free to say something in chat, as long as it's not hurtful, hateful, or harassing. So far, people have been cool. So let's try to keep that streak going. And also, Dungeoneer, I guess like I'm curious how you found me. Yeah, so for Google style guides, actually it's not style sheets, it's style guides. Style sheets are like, isn't that CSS? I'm not a front end person, which is why Melion looks the way it does. So Google has, let me see if I can. So I know chat and my picture are covering it up, but Google has these style guides for multiple different languages. And the reason why I recommend using these is like, one, they're public. You can probably find other companies who put out these style guides, but this was a thing that, like, frankly speaking, a lot of people want to work for Google, right? So if you're writing their code in their style, you're already kind of like on a leg up. And Google is a big company, and I like that they have a practical approach to writing code that emphasizes like working with other people. So for the Python code, like I actually talked about this too with my best friend, because like he ranted to me today about like some code that he like bug checked for hours, and part of it was because like somebody did something that was like very difficult to follow in terms of code. And in the Python style guide, like I'm like 80% sure it's in here, because I thought I read it like a long time ago. They emphasize like legibility is more important than cleverness. So like if you hand your code over to somebody else, they should fairly quickly be able to understand what's happening. But like in Python, one of the really cool things is you can do these like list comprehensions, right? But and also like lambda functions and that kind of stuff. But like they actually tell you like you probably don't want to use these, right? Because like you can make an extremely complicated list comprehension like this one, where like it's referencing a function, it needs an argument, and now you're like it takes multiple lines, and that's really the main problem, right? Is like it takes multiple lines, so it's a little bit harder to follow. And then this one, right? Like this one is a double is a double loop. So it's like, okay, you have to what is your exact follow here? Yeah, and like I mean, no shame democracy. Like if you know how to use lambdas, it's great, right? Like they're a nice way to introduce functions in here. And I think like technically, what is it? Yeah, they said like, oh, this isn't actually saying don't use lambdas. I think that's a different section. But like if you wrote like a complicated lambda function to like explain something that was going on, then like that might not be the nicest thing to do to your collaborators, even though it's like it looks slick, right? Because you did it, you could have done something in like one line and like it's a throwaway function and whatever, it doesn't matter. But like if you end up writing something like this, this is like, I think technically this would be a one line function, right? Because like you could do as an input like I want a tuple with xyz or just xyz, and then it would just return whatever this is. I think it's supposed to return tuples and of these values where x and y are not equal to each other and y and z are not equal to each other, but like x, y, and z are in the range of 0 to 4, like inclusive. But like that's maybe not the nicest way to write this, especially since there's no comments, right? So like if you were to explain like this is what I want it to do, at least like somebody could look at the comments and be like, okay. But like I think they even tell you like try to like make comments like kind of quick. So like I don't perfectly follow the style guide, but they're definitely like an inspiration to me, because like this stuff works, right? Like if people work according to this, same with the library in Python, it's called Black, and it's called that way because like there's it's a reference to Henry Ford and the Model T, where like the Model T is available in any color you want as long as that color is black. So like when you feed code into that library, it will format it exactly the same way every single time, and it's extremely consistent. So there's like no arguing over style and stuff, and the idea was like engineers spending time arguing over aesthetics of code and legibility of code is like a waste of their time, right? Is a waste of really company time. But if engineers want to argue on the private time, that's totally fine. But like, I don't know, I would rather do something else. Yeah, so like obviously like these things aren't really enforced, but they're like, oh, they're really good to follow. And if everyone follows like the guidelines together, then it's a lot easier for like people to work together. So yeah, I'm gonna say I recommend the Google style guides, or I did recommend Google style guides last time. Giaz? I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry, but thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. Yeah, especially since like I'm still fairly new to streaming, so like I technically started in late 2019, and then I stopped for a while because I honestly didn't really like it that much. But after I like met some honestly VTubers, VTubers are super cool and they're really supportive, and I was like, oh, all these people are so nice. Maybe I will actually try streaming again. And I kept trying to find other data scientists and stuff, and like I don't know. Um, yeah. So Giaz, I guess if you also want to, I guess I'm curious how you found me as well. So if you want to share that, you totally can. Um, let's see. And then for fun stuff last time, I like food, but I also really love hot sauce. So like at some point, I think before season, I want to say before season 13. Oh no, I have these. That's funny. I think before season 14, I think I had almost every Hot Ones sauce. Um, yeah, I actually still need to buy new hot sauces. But let me put this in the notes as what we talked about last time. Food. Like hot sauce? Okay. Man, I should have asked him for a referral code. I'm just kidding. But actually, if they had a referral code that got me like a free bottle every month or something, I would totally take advantage because I love all their hot sauces. Seriously, like we had a whole like people have like spice racks and stuff. We had a whole shelf of just hot sauces. It was really bad. Like some of them you just can't really eat. Let's see. What other thing? If you're doing time series forecasting, take a look at profit, which has drastically improved their quality of documentation. Say in Python. Cool. And then that's spacey. So, oh yeah. And if you're doing NLP stuff, take a look at stop words, which are the words human determined, human expert determined words that basically provide no value and are thus excluded from tokenized lists. And basically everybody uses the same list of stop words. So anytime, no matter what library, when you're saying like use the built-in list of stop words, I'm pretty sure they all come from NLTK. Because I think they got a paper from it. And then like you have to dig in the documentation to find out like, oh, what is your list of stop words? And like for work, I did a comparison of like Spark NLP, Base Spark, I believe, scikit-learn, GenSim, Spacey, and Stanza, and like eventually I just found that like, oh, they're literally just referencing the same paper that has the list of stop words. Yeah. Okay. There was also something else. Let me see. What did we go over? Not that. That is list of errands stuff that I was doing before. Yeah, like other stuff I'm doing that's like not related to data science. I am trying to convert our old SUV into something that like basically lets me camp in it. A few weeks ago I was on a road trip, and like I was actually camping out of the car because I am short enough that I can sleep in the SUV. And it was really nice actually, but there's things I want to do inside the car that would make it a little bit more usable. So I've got a bunch of tabs open of like, okay, what are the things I can do to store more things securely? What are the things I can do to lift the car so that it can handle off-road stuff a little bit better? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff I was looking at. Oh, strange. Oh, that I had it was a different group of tags. I think maybe it was Space who was talking about GeoPy. Refos, thank you for the follow. Thank you. Let's see. Also, if you are willing to share, I would love to hear how you found me. And I definitely have missing stream notes, it turns out. So let's see. And this will be chat submitted things. Chat submitted or chat related things. Insets a little bit. The Python tag. Awesome. So yeah. So actually, are there other new people here who are shy about saying anything? Yeah. So if you are shy about saying anything in chat, don't worry. That's totally cool. Enjoy your lurk. But Refos, if you didn't hear, I'm actually my name's Chrono, or Aaron, and I'm a data scientist who primarily uses Python. So I've also used R, and I also use SQL, and what else? Spark, via, I guess, PySpark. And I kind of did a little bit stuff in Scala for work, and have obviously really enjoyed that there's a Spark API that provides all the same functions. Scala is like a really cool language. My former coworker like loves Scala because I think it approaches stuff from like a functional perspective instead of an object-oriented perspective, which is interesting. I think F# is a similar thing where like it's intended to do functions. So like your underlying data doesn't get all screwed up whenever you do something wrong. But it was definitely like I did not want to learn. Like I've talked about this in different streams before, but like my approach to life a lot of times is just like if you're into anime, specifically Demon Slayer, sometimes I just want to be like Zenitsu. I want to do one thing decently, and then that's it. So if I can do Python decently, then I feel happy. Learning a bunch of other stuff is just like icing on the cake at that point. Yeah, okay, so chat submitted stuff. There was for geodata, or handling geodata. And today, sorry, I should have said, today the plan is to just do some co-working stuff. So honestly, it's going to be like very boring for Python stuff. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to do this stuff for note-taking, where every stream I've been taking notes, but I haven't been diligent in sharing them or publishing them. And I feel like that's unfair, both to people in chat who like maybe learning things or maybe like talking about things that are interesting, and then like it just gets lost into the ether. But also like there's like some of these things I think are fairly helpful to people. So I've been like I started a website called Buenos Dias, but you can find it on I think it's called like my actual homepage is there, and then it links to my photography site and my data science website, which is buenosdias.dev. I'm trying to share these stream notes there because like I don't know, I think it's easier. Like you can watch the VOD, but maybe if you're like me, you read faster, and like you won't care about everything that's in the video, and that's totally fine. But like if you see like short snippets of text that you find interesting, maybe you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah. So that is what I'm trying to do today, is basically catch up on all that crap I should have been doing before. Yeah. The hope was that maybe I could do a little bit of what's it called? Exploratory data analysis in a Jupyter notebook for this for my Melion side project, but it's 1:20 here, and I have a feeling that I will not get to that today because I should start sleeping earlier. Um, okay, yes. So other stuff. Before I had talked about data version control and um, ML flow, and I do wonder if I wonder if that was in a previous blog post because like that really seems like that should have been there already because I'm pretty sure I talked about it. Yes, so data version control and ML flow. So those tabs can close, but oh, you know what? I think they're not closed because I am still reading documentation to see what I need for Melion. Like Melion data version control. If you don't know, you can actually, everyone has done this, so don't lie to me. But when it's like you have a CSV and one change has happened, so it becomes V2, and then like someone makes one other change and it becomes their initials V2, and like all this kind of crap. And data version control lets you actually log all of your stuff. So if you've never seen it, uh, it lets you log your actual data via Git. I think is really cool. And you can also like load changes and stuff dynamically. So if it was like my NLP project, there were all the data used to be logged in data version control. So I had the same file name for the CSV, but it was like, oh, give me version April. I forgot what I actually called it, but like give me April's version. And then I would load that into DVC, and then like all the code would still work, right? Because like it's referencing the same file. It's just an older file. So I think it's really cool. I'm trying to figure out other ways to use it for my personal projects. Maybe like I'm trying to see if maybe it can save actual SQL queries in terms of like, okay, well that's this like data pull uses this query from this data set. And then like if it's the same database like a month later, can that pull get logged into data version control? So like I think it's really cool. But I'm like a little bit of a nerd, so that's okay. But yeah, Cosient. Hopefully, I really actually do just hope it's helpful for people. I don't want to come across as like pitching my site all the time. I really just am like, okay, I'm putting all this stuff here because, oh yeah, actually this is related to like I'm not communicating this very well. Part of why I made this website, one to help other people. Like one of my coworkers was also thinking of leaving when I was leaving, and they were looking for help on like, okay, what helped you study? And I was like, oh, and I sent a bunch of links, and I was like, why don't you just put this in one place that's easier? And I realized that like for a lot of things in general, I just keep taking notes and just putting them everywhere. So I have like a OneNote, and I have like notebooks and piece of paper, sometimes just scrap paper, sometimes post-it notes, and it was driving me crazy. Like one thing that I was working on actually was trying to I got a new laptop, and I was trying to recreate my dev environment on my laptop, and I use Windows Subsystem for Linux, Visual Studio Code, ASDF for Python versions, and then Poetry for virtual environment management. And there's a bunch of stuff all combining those things, like Windows Subsystem for Linux and ASDF and PyEnv and like Poetry installs that like I kept forgetting were complicated, because like how often are you installing all of these things, right? So like I had written notes somewhere on like, oh, these are the documentation links that I followed, these are the steps I followed, the lines of code, etc., and like that got it to work. And I lost that. So when I got the new laptop, I was like looking through my OneNote, I was like, where the F did I put this? Because that was a cheat sheet. So now I'm like, okay, I need to store these things in places that I will remember to go to in case I ever have questions. So that's partly also like why I'm trying to keep notes and keep them public, so that like when I forget something or when my computer crashes and I lose 700 tabs, I can more easily go someplace and be like, that's what I was working on. Yeah. You had this project problem with your project since you were pseudo labeling images and combining the images with the original data set. You're running this loop more multiple iterations. It's hard to keep track. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you should give data version control a look. They're not the only option that does this thing anymore. It's just that they were the ones I heard about first, and it's partly because it's a project. I'm pretty sure it's from iterative.ai. It's not from Databricks. But they were getting somewhat popular, and they were free and open source. And they had like decent documentation. Like your data version control and MLflow is like falling into the ML ops category, where it's like, honestly, this shit's like really the Wild West frontier. Like, I don't think people really know the best way to do any of these things at this point, because it's like only recently, I want to say since like 2018 maybe, like only recently were people like, how do we recall experiments like seriously? And now there's like, for ML ops, there's ML Flow, which is from Databricks. There's like Elephant. There's a bunch of different things that or Pachyderm. That's it, Pachyderm. There's a bunch of things that like all kind of do the same thing, but not really. And then some of them don't really work with each other. So like MLflow is really nice because it does experiment logging and it has a separate like thing that works very nicely with scikit-learn, and the Databricks stack. So like that's kind of why I liked it. Yeah. And I see you have a question about Windows Subsystem for Linux. Feel free to ask. I am a huge supporter. Partly because, and I will I'll just open it. Stoat. The hell did I type? Ermine? So I just opened it. And it's already ready. So my Windows Subsystem for Linux runs Ubuntu. It is WSL2 version 2. Ubuntu 20.04, whatever that the 20 version is. And I have Oh My Z Shell configured, which was also one of the complications. Yeah. Let's see. You came from Mac. You started using Windows recently. Does it just function like the terminal in Mac? So yes, sort of. Yeah. So that was actually why I was so excited for Windows Subsystem for Linux, because with Oh My Z Shell on my work Mac and also the loaner Mac I had from Flatiron School, I used Oh My Z Shell. So like that works in Windows Subsystem for Linux. And PowerShell I think is useful and great, except the syntax is so different and it was extremely frustrating. And I hated using the git bash separate program, and also I really hated like when I used to use Anaconda, the Anaconda prompt was different depending on if you use the bash version or the PowerShell version, and like you could forget which one is which, and it was just like, oh my gosh. Also, since I use Windows Terminal, this is part of why I was like wanting to write a blog about this. Like you can actually add different shells. So like the nice thing about Windows Terminal is, especially with Oh My Z Shell, like I put on separate colorways and stuff for this. So like ls, so we'll cd into repos, and you can actually see what I'm talking about. Ls cd projects. So I have autocomplete. And then Melion. Cool. Okay, so what we've got right now, as you can see, is like this is the file hierarchy color coded. This is the Git branch hierarchy, or Git branch color coded, and then like I'll activate my virtual environment with Poetry Shell, and now it actually has the venv like on the right hand side. So like I really like this. This theme is Powerline 10K. so not all the themes do this, but I liked all the extra features, so that was why I ended up adding this one. But with Windows Terminal, like I can run PowerShell if I really wanted to. You can actually, if you don't like the color, you can actually just change it. So open the JSON file and you can like reconfigure all the things that you want. So PowerShell right now has the default color scheme, but like you can change it. Like I have Ubuntu running Doom Peacock, and like that's all specified here. So like I guess if I wanted to, I could change to
But is passing the value?
I'm trying to find like all the names of the different themes. Like I could change PowerShell to Tango Dark, but like I never use PowerShell, so I would just be doing things as a demo for chat. Fuck it. All right. Let's do things as a demo for chat. Let's see if this works. Default is Campbell PowerShell. So we do this, save, close it. It reloaded it right away, right? So like, it's really cool. Terminal is. PowerShell is useful. But sorry I blinded you with light mode, so let's do Campbell PowerShell again. I think that's what it was called. Campbell PowerShell, yeah. So I save this. I think it reloaded in the background. Yeah, it says back to this blue. Strong recommend. The Microsoft documentation to get Windows Terminal and Windows Subsystem for Linux working is quite good. Adding all the customizations after, that's where it starts getting a little bit more complicated. And Refos, if you are also trying to consider Windows Subsystem for Linux, as you can see, I'm a big fan. I've been a fan since WSL 1, but like it's gotten better with each passing version. The current updated versions, there's a definite knock against them in the past. They did not support GPUs, and they still act really weird if you're trying to like access networks. So like the way WSL 2 runs, it actually kind of is like running in some weird virtual machine that like uses your network port to communicate with the Windows PC. So it's a little wonky, and there are some issues if you have like, you have to do extra configuring if you want to like use USB devices specifically with Windows Subsystem for Linux. And I found out the hard way because I was like trying to reconfigure this keyboard. And it was like, oh, you have to add all these extra things to get the USB devices to recognize. Turns out it's like a security thing, et cetera, et cetera. Like GPUs didn't work for a while because like they didn't really see why. So for a long time, if you tried to run like a GPU specific thing in WSL, it would just say like, cannot access this resource yet. It is now enabled, so if you do like deep learning stuff and you need a GPU, it will actually work. You just have to install the correct like libraries and drivers. But yeah, WSL is like super, super cool. I really like it a lot. And I ranted. Actually, I will put this in the stream notes for last time. Handling geodata, and it was GeoPy, which I closed the tab already. So let's. Why did I close the tab already? That's weird.
Have you considered implementing promises by using it?
I ranted on this before. And this is related to the gatekeeping things that I don't like. I basically hate it when YouTubers now talk about how great the new Macs are, and then they're like, the answer to any problem you have is to spend $4,000 on a computer that cannot be upgraded. I hate that. So I saw like several YouTubers talk about how like their new $5,000 M1 Ultra or whatever like the Studio is like the best computer ever, and I was just like, okay, cool. So like $5,000 gets you more than this, right? This is a 5900 with a 3070 in it, and like 128 gigs of RAM. So like $5,000 better get you a really nice computer, but $5,000 for a PC gets you a computer you can just keep upgrading the storage and various components for. So I have like a very hard time believing that a Mac computer is like worth it. If you want a easy to like a fire and forget sort of coding platform, I think the MacBook Air, when it goes on sale, is the best one because like long battery life, decent screen, decent construction, and performant enough. And especially if like you're logging into clusters and you don't really need anything else. You need like a keyboard and box that connects you to the internet. But personally, if I had money to spend on a computer, for Mac money, you can get like things that can play video games, or do other things. So that's like my main rant is like they're not that good considering the price you have to pay for them. And like people can keep talking about the benchmarks for whatever, but like even Apple keeps changing the terms for those benchmarks that makes it clear that like they think that they're winning. So yeah, like it went from like pure performance compute into performance per watt, and then like it turns out like that's even easy to game. So like some of the mobile x86 chips are starting to, on PC and Linux, are starting to approach like the same performance per watt. So all of a sudden, like, okay, what other thing are you gonna try to move the goalpost for? Main reason you made the switch is because your Mac only has 100. Yeah, that's the other thing. They kind of like they're really stingy on storage, and they charge you a crap ton to upgrade. Which like now PC companies do that too, and it's pretty frustrating. Like especially when the stuff is like soldered on, you can't upgrade it yourself. But yeah, like if you're looking at like a few terabytes of storage on the new Macs, like you're in for like what, $2,000 maybe, which is like kind of insane. That's probably an exaggeration. Like 1 terabyte MacBook Pro, that might be like $1,600. That seems like a lot. Okay, so where else were we? I have a bunch of paint tabs open on MLflow, just because I'm like, all right, I didn't finish that. And then, oh look, something on PyTorch, because I was trying to figure out how to use this for fun. This is all still PyTorch stuff. What is this? Okay. All stuff from when I was like trying to repractice my R because I wasn't using it for a while. Okay, so we covered that, and then it opened in a different page. Someone last time gave me a link, and it was really cool. It was talking about I really want to find it before I say anything else. That's not it. Where did I put it? That's not it either. Oh yeah, cool. Garbage collector. So yeah, someone sent me last time. I'll open a new tab. I asked if it was okay to put this in the stream notes, but like they did a whole post on configuring Debian packaging or Debian packaging for Fedorans, and then just wrote everything out. And then at the end they were like, oh, I just tried this and actually worked. But I don't know, I thought it was useful. And like, you know, this is like knowledge you gain the hard way. So like, let's see, Debian packaging for Fedorans. So yeah, I'll totally, if you want me to share something, if you share something in chat and you want me to put it in our stream notes, I'm totally cool with that. And then just send me a link and I'll link it in there. I also try to vouch for these things first, so like I'll try to like at least read a little bit of this and or whatever you send me, and then see if it's like, oh, okay, I can put this in here. Like those data science career resources, like I went through every single link on that page, because like these are the things I actually used. So that's why I'm like trying to like make things like see what's helpful for people. Okay, cool. What else? So that was stream notes from last time, and then obviously I still need to fix this embed thing that like is not cooperating. I think that means I can save this draft and then publish it. So I'll at least save the draft. Oh, it'd be nice to have a picture for this. And I can prettify this, but I think the skeleton is here. Like the last post I had, like I made columns and then I had pictures. Oh, a to-do. Okay. Heading. Excuse me. Let's add a separator.
Okay, but honestly, who's more sleep deprived than Clinton?
Let's make another list.
Are you still okay, Azur? Seems like I missed quite a show. There's a clip.
Let's see.
You did. I don't know why I'm laughing.
What was the to-do? Oh, from last time it was figure out how to make a template for blog posts on this site, and we can immediately mark that as done, with the caveat that cannot be done on free tier. So let's strike through. Okay. All right. And then last time it was like add all these things. So, oh man, that kind of sucks. All these things basically just roll over.
I'm holding a candle.
What else did we want to do from last time? Oh, definitely add stuff from, whoops.
Okay, but why does it look like and then timed it?
Was there anything to add from last time? I think they basically just carry over. It's just that, I guess we'll add stuff from chat. Also check what chat sends in. So that's from last time. Save draft, and then for this time, heading levels is 2. Okay, heading 2, align, 2. Whoops. Do another list. Numbered separator. For stream notes. Okay, so those are all the things from last time. Wow, I didn't realize it would take this long to write that. That is my fault. Okay, so to do is to update bio on Twitch with firsts. Let's see. Update notes on people in chat and what they're working on. What else? Write up article on working with WSL. um, WSL, Windows Terminal, VS Code, ASDF, Poetry, and VS Code. Just for y'all, because you seem like you're really interested in that. And I'd offered to write it up before, and then I completely left my head. So it will go into my long list of to-do items now. Let's see. Figure out the experiment logging, DVC works. Okay. And what else? Prepare for next stream by pre-filling in known stream note stuff and by getting a notebook ready for EDA of Melion data. And then that way it'd be a little bit more focused maybe, or like if I stream, then we actually don't make that the bonus. We make the code the actual bonus, right? Yeah. And I am still curious, since there's now more people in chat. Earlier I asked a question on like, oh, what are your favorite tools to help you work through a coding problem? And then mine is actually pen and paper. If you have other things, like feel free to send them. And I can, I'll actually like write them down in the list of like, oh, this is what chat likes. So I don't know. I think it's interesting to hear these things. I think like there's a subreddit, like I subscribe to the like learn programming subreddit because I think it's cool to see what people are going through, and see how, like, I guess I can help. But like I think somebody asked in that or some other, I forgot what other coding related subreddit, but it was like they asked this question and then there are a couple people that are like pencil and paper. Yeah. So I think it helps to like, if you kind of pseudocode it out, you can like maybe figure out the ideal way to approach the problem, because otherwise like you're kind of like rushing to the tools without necessarily knowing where you're going to go. That was a bad analogy. You're kind of like, you're jumping in the car and hitting the gas, but not really necessarily knowing where you're going to go. There we go. That's better. Yeah. So yeah, what else did we talk about today? Went over making templates, finished compiling stream notes from previous streams, so that's not a good look. What else? Wanted to do a EDA for Melion, but it's past bedtime. But stream went past bedtime. However, it's nice because I got to talk to new people. So Cozient, Refos, Democracy, you're all new to me, so that's really nice that you're all here. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I just realized I'm wearing a Microsoft shirt. I got it for free. I do not work for them and have not worked for them. However, I think it would be really cool. They have some like really interesting data science focused divisions at the company. When I was at the Flatiron School Bootcamp, they actually talked to us. They said like there's like a weird skunkworks sort of ish division inside Microsoft that like essentially they're like a team of consultants, and they talk to different companies in different industries and try to see how they can figure out how they can help those people use like machine learning and modern more modern tech and infrastructure to solve their problems. And like, because it's kind of like consulting, like that team basically rotates to a new project like every 3 to 6 months or something, but they get to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And I was like, I would love to work there. Like you get to see things constantly. When do I plan on starting my next stream? Adding to the to-dos. Actually make a schedule. Let's see. I might stream tomorrow. If I stream tomorrow, I will definitely try to start earlier. Cozy, I don't know what time zone you're in, but I started at 10:30 Pacific, and I keep doing that. And actually, I kind of hate it because like I get excited to talk to people. Wait, did I start at 10:30 or 11:30? Yeah, see, it's so late I don't even remember, right? Like I get so excited to either work on stuff or talk to people that I like lose track of time, and then like I don't. I've talked about this with some of my other streamer friends, but like honestly, streaming gives me like usually gives me a lot of energy, and when I'm done, I can't fall asleep right after. So like I have a suspicion I won't be able to fall asleep until like 3. It's UK, so it's 9:49. Oh wow, dang. Okay. Man, okay. I need to wake up early. I will try to stream tomorrow. If I start earlier and if I get all my steps in before stream starts, or I could just, I guess, take a break or something. Maybe I can go for longer and then actually work on a project. That'd be cool. But you didn't sleep. Hey, no. You got to take care of yourself. I say this like knowing that when I was younger, I also didn't sleep, but like I'm pretty sure I'm paying for it. So like there are things that I now that I am older, try to tell younger people is treat yourself well with sleep and a little bit of exercise. So yeah, I I lift like 3 times a week, and then other days I try to stretch or run or like do yoga, or hike. I think people don't need to follow that stuff exactly because like not everyone wants to freaking squat with like 300 pounds on their back. And that's totally fine. I completely understand. There are definitely days where I don't want to do that. But I think it's like totally worthwhile. Like, hey, like, can you, if you went for a 30-minute walk or something, just got some fresh air, if possible, you know, like, I think that usually helps. But that being said, I don't just follow that advice myself. So yeah, but I think it helps. Fix it when you're done with uni. that's the student version of fix it in post. Yeah, I said those things when I was in uni too, but like, well, okay. I don't want to feel like I'm lecturing you or telling you how to live your life, but I do hope that you take care of yourself. You got a long time ahead of you. Life, what is the saying? Life is a marathon, not a sprint. So yeah, and just like with marathons, when you take care of yourself, that means that the rest of the race is better for you. You'll probably hear like people older than, frankly, even me, but like your knees and back are gonna go and like all that kind of crap. So be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself in the future, just like with investing. But yeah, tomorrow I will probably try to start quite a bit earlier. If I run late to around maybe this, oh god, I hope I don't run this late again. I should stop falling asleep so late. If I run later to like right around where I started stream today, so like 11:30 Pacific time, you're totally more than welcome to hop in. And I would, it's nice to see y'all. Space was only here for not very long, but it was definitely nice to see a familiar name at least. But yeah, okay, so let's save draft. And then this one's already done, but I have to go through. This is also pressure for me because I can look at my previous blogs and just be like, okay, what did I not do? And what should go into the next like to do for the next stream. For now, let's look for someone to raid, which is not always the most fun or easy thing to do at this time of night because most people are not up. Oh, wow, Cozian, thank you for the sub. Thank you. Wow. um, I don't, and also if I'm not pronouncing your name right, let me know. But yeah, I've said this a few times now, but like, I only got affiliate status like a few weeks ago, so like every stream, every sub bit, anything like actually makes a huge difference for me because it's like I don't know why people sub or uh, cheers me like that. And I it is very flattering when people like me that much. um, let's see, software and game dev. Wow, there's a 1.5 people in here now. Sweet, sweet. 1.5k people. Let's see, Cozy. Uh, you should also stream or tell other European people to stream so that us ultra late night US people have someone to raid before when we go to bed like way too late for ourselves. um the person I shouted her out before, but yeah, so she is currently streaming right now. I don't know how she does it because she's on East Coast time, so for her it's 5 a.m. But like she looks like she's still going strong, and I all the props to her. Partly why I hopped on it was like I want to co-work, I want to stream and get some stuff done while she is also getting stuff done because I feel like we're like work partners at that point, or co-workers. Let's see, software and game dev. Not seeing much. At least not with Python. Let me see if I can. I'll just search Python. And it might just be me. There's one other person. DigitalOcean. That's cool. It might also be in the science and technology category. Which I don't even see. It looks like it's really suppressed by Twitch right now. Or like not active by Twitch, not suppressed. Yeah, 324 viewers. Wow, software and game dev is more popular. That's interesting. Docker Go Bird. That's cool. If you don't know what Docker is very cool. It's containerization stuff. So like that virtual environment stuff, it kind of goes away when you use Docker, but it means it's another thing to learn. It's just that like it has some idiosyncrasies. So it's not always the easiest thing to immediately jump into. Let's raid Leah because that's gonna be the easiest to me, and I don't really want to think about it right now. I just want to get ready for bed. Raid Leah T. All right. Leah's very cool. I think she is working on, because I have her on right now. I think she's working through LeetCode stuff, Code Wars stuff. So yeah. Which might be, if you're leaving uni, as much as I hate it, because I don't think Code Wars or LeetCode or HackerRank, I don't think those puzzles are like reflective of what you're going to be doing as a day-to-day basis for your job. Unfortunately, that is stuff that's like pretty common. Okay, cool. And then Democracy, I just got your whisper. Are you cool with? I'll actually whisper back. Are you cool with me putting this in stream notes? And let's see, I had another whisper from Cyberzyme. That's maybe who sent me the other stuff. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think that is enough for tonight, and we're gonna raid Lee. Oh yeah. So yeah. Since she's working through Code Wars. It is informative in terms of like this is stuff you probably have to practice. Um, if you've never read like Cracking the Coding Interview or that kind of stuff, that is probably going to be very helpful to you. Unless you're maybe doing data science, it's like debatably helpful. I think I made a link towards there was a YouTube influencer who interviewed a Google recruiter slash sourcer, and she talked about the process of like applying to Google, which was honestly pretty helpful and was like very truthful, I would say. I also applied to Google as a data scientist, and they've like changed their application process. I would say it's a little bit better, but it's still like I was like, I don't think this is what you're going to be doing or what I'm going to be doing day to day. So some of it seems like a little bit of a waste. But it was definitely better before because they used to make data scientists do the same HackerRank problems. And I was like, this is stupid. I would never do this. Yeah. All right. That rant aside, we're going to raid Leah. So yeah. All right. So that was a fun stream. Going way too late again for me. I should also be kind to myself and not stay up so late. But yeah, Kozian, it was really nice to meet you. Thank you for coming along and chatting. Hope to see you again, obviously. Same with Democracy. And who else came in today? Oh, there are a few. Giaz and Dungeoneer. All right, I hope to see all of you again because this is super fun. Hopefully next time we actually do some code, right? Like that's the cool part of seeing a code stream. All right. For now, good night, good morning, good day, wherever you are, and hope to see you again soon. All right. Bye. 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 Bye.
Did you do? Why do you stream when I'm streaming so I can't watch your streams? Chrono. Food for thought. Space aliens probably use color and light. And nebulas are just gigantic concerts happening to big black voids of space. That is interesting. Seeing you work made me want to do something productive. Haha, I was working on compiling stream notes from previous streams. Okay, that's really cool. I just always miss your streams now. Okay, but it wants to know if the original length is a perfect square, right? So if the square root is an integer. Got it, got it. Okay, let me just start training this real quick. Let me go ahead and start with prep for it. Had hoped to do some exploratory data analysis in a Jupyter notebook, but it got too late. Chrono. It's not late at all. It's early. Wait, this problem doesn't even make sense. In series, squares have 4 sides. I mean, technically, no, I see what it means. It wants your length and, to be the same. So it wants, like, if it's 3 high, it has to be 3 across as well. So it'd be like, a square. Like, what it's doing is there's 3 numbers across, then okay, if it has 3 rows, then it has 3 columns. If it has 2 rows, then it has 2 columns. Oh god, how the hell am I gonna code this? And they have to be the same numbers, right? Do they have to be the same numbers across? I literally think they do. They have to be split into equal, like literally same numbers too. I'm not Leo T code to a superhuman. Hey, I think I just killed my brother. enough that it got used to it. When you go late enough, it gets early. 500 IQ move, Leah. It's early, right? It's 5 in the morning. It's early. We can keep going. I may have yelled at myself for starting yet another stream at 10:30, 11. Yeah, if you don't like staying up, it's kind of like bad to start that late. Like, not bad because it doesn't matter. Like, if you just want to stream, then I say just stream. But then it's like when you get in it and you're like, oh no, I have to keep going. I think. Oh, do you? Okay, let's see. But none of the test cases are like that are passing. Wait, no, this one does though. You're right. I think that's the one you just said, right? If I look at the bottom one, which was 112, wait, sorry, 11214156 and it returned 11214156 and that was the answer. Okay, so yes, it does not have to be the same string of numbers here. And this is returned as a string.